Hi there, thanks for joining us for today's video. Please make sure that you click subscribe to keep up to date with all of our content. This will include short how-to videos, webinars and demonstrations of all of our products. Check out the links in the description below to check out any content related to today's video, and we hope that you enjoy it. So today's session, we're going to be looking at building skills and tracking progress within Snapcore First. So we're really going to be looking at how we can support our Snap users to grow and develop their skills. So my name's Alice. I'm the training manager here for Tobii Dynavox. I've been here for a little over 4 years and I've just started this new role. So hopefully some of you have met me before. If not, thank you for joining us. So what we're going to cover in today's session. So we're going to have a look at building skills and this we're going to do through the Pathways app and we're going to take a look at some lesson plans that are available. Then also in the Pathways app, we're going to have a look at the goals grid. So this is an interactive goals grid. I'm going to give you an overview and then we're going to go kind of through how we might use this to support our users. So the first part of this session, I'm just going to go through a couple of slides and then I'm just going to go into demo and I'm going to open up the resources and show you how to use them and access them. So the first thing that we're going to be looking at is looking at building skills. The idea is we want to address our users' needs. So the idea of this is we have available in our Pathways app. So for those of you that have maybe not heard of this before or looked at it before, this is a free app that anybody can download on Windows or iOS devices. And it's packed full of resources to help you support your AAC learner. Now, some of this is going to be, some other content is going to be really specific to Snapcore First. So there's some sections on customizing and how to edit buttons and things like that. But other sections, like the sections that we're going to be looking at today, so the build skills section and the goals grid, can really be used with any AAC learner. And so I'm going to take you through that and understand a little bit about how we can use this. So the idea behind the build skills section is we're kind of using that really holistic approach. So we're not just looking at teaching vocabulary. We want to look at kind of communication skills as a whole. So we're covering language skills, but we're also looking at social skills and operational skills. So how are we navigating our system? How are we looking after our system? We're looking at behaviour support as well as strategic skills, or things like conversation repair. And so within this build skills section, we cover lots and lots of different things like teaching core vocabulary, transitioning from PECs. We've got a really great interest inventory in there if we're really kind of struggling for what motivates our learner. And then a really great behaviour selection tool in there as well. So we're going to dig into that and have a look at how we can use that with our learners. And then the second thing that we're going to have a look at is this goals grid for systematic growth. So the idea with this goals grid is it's going to help us to identify goals with our learner. But first of all, what it could be used for is just kind of finding that baseline. So we could be at the beginning of our AAC journey. We could be maybe at a point where we're a little bit stuck and we don't know where to go. And what we can actually do is by using this goals grid and having a look at all of the different skills, it will give us a really good idea of where our user is at now. So what skills that they've got now in lots of different areas, and then how we can move that forward. So we cover, the goals grid covers from emergent all the way up to independent communicators, and it covers across 4 different areas of competency. So that's linguistic, operational, social, and strategic. And these are the competencies that were set out by Janice Light. So some of you have probably heard of and used some of these before. And what we've done with this goals grid is we've paired it with those lesson plans that we've got in the build skills area, so that at least for every goal that is in the goals grid, there is at least one lesson plan that supports that. So if we come across a goal that we want to work on, there's at least one lesson plan that you can then go on to develop that skill. So one of the kind of great things about this section and the build skills section is that It's not really specific to any type of communication system. So obviously it can be used really nicely with somebody that's using SnapCore first, but really can be used to support anybody using any kind of AAC system. So really bear in mind, if you've got, supporting families or anybody really that's using a number of different types of systems, really do bear in mind that this can be used to support anybody. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jump into Pathways itself, so that I can show you. Okay, so as mentioned at the beginning, so Pathways is a free app that anybody can download on iOS or Windows devices, so an iPad or a computer. We do have an online version, which I will be dipping into at the end of the demo. So we've got a kind of a web-based version that has a slightly different approach, but covers a lot of the same things that we've got within the app. So I'll talk a little bit about that kind of further on. So the thing to kind of consider when we're using the Pathways app is we can kind of think about it in a couple of different ways. So if I'm a professional, maybe looking at providing advice for different people, I might want to set up a profile where I can kind of dip in and use some of the different tools that are in there. On the other hand, if I'm kind of supporting individuals, specific individuals, and I want to track their progress specifically, what I might want to do is actually create a specific profile for that user so that I can kind of keep their data within that and kind of follow it through. So first thing that I'm going to do, you can see I've got a couple of profiles available here already. But if I don't, I can just simply add profile here and I can come in and name that profile. I can add a photo or I can select an avatar if I want to. And then now I've got that profile down here. So I'm just going to actually just click on that Sharon profile to open it up. Now, something to note here, I'm just going to pause, is that the Pathways app is actually full of lots of really informative videos. And so you'll notice as you go out throughout the app, especially for the first time, that every time you open up a different section, you'll get lots of little videos that pop up. And these are all really short videos. I don't think any video is longer than 2 minutes. Most of them are much shorter. And what they do is they just give you a really kind of brief introduction to kind of the section that you're about to open up. So this one's just going to give us an overview of Pathways. So I would highly recommend, if you're opening Snap for the first time, Pathways for the first time, to check out these videos, because they'll be really informative and they'll help you kind of orientate yourself to the app a little bit. So what you'll notice as well down the bottom is there's a couple of things I can do with these videos. If I've seen it a few times and I don't want to watch it again, I can click on this don't play again tab, and so next time I go to open that, it's not going to play that video again for me. However, if I've found a video that I think is really useful and I want to find it again and maybe to show to other people, I can actually save that to my kind of save area, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later as well. I'm just going to close this out because I'm not going to have a look at some videos right now. And so just to orient yourself a little bit to Pathways, on the left-hand side, we've got our different kind of menus that will take us to some of the different sections. So previously, in some of our previous sessions, we've looked at the top tips section. We've also looked at the customized core first section. And so today we're going to have a look at the build skills section. So I'm going to click on there, and again, there's a nice little video that's going to give me some information about that. I'm going to close that out for now. And then here you're going to see a number of different topics that I can choose from. So I believe there are 8 different topics that I can choose from. And remember how at the beginning I talked about kind of using this holistic approach. So we're trying to look at all the different kind of aspects of communication and what our users might need to kind of develop in order to be a successful communicator. So you can see here we've got sections like using daily activities, core first learning, things like here's the encourage positive behavior, building social interaction. So what I would do is I can come in here select, or can browse through some of these and have a look at what's useful for me. The first one I'm going to talk about is this use and daily activities section. So I'm going to open that section up. Again, we've got a nice little video that we can have a look that will give us a bit of an idea of what we are going to be looking at within that section. And you'll see here that, oops, sorry, get rid of that. You'll see here that we've got a couple of different options. So I can just go straight into show me lesson plans, and it's going to show me some lesson plans that I can start using straight away to look at developing the use of my system within a daily activity. The other option we've got here is this help me find my activities. Now, if I open that up, it's going to open up this interest inventory. And I think this is a really, really useful tool to use. For a number of different reasons. Sometimes we're just at a bit of a loss of where to start, and we want some ideas of activities and topics that we can talk about. Sometimes we're just really not sure what we can do and what motivates that learner that we're going to be working with. So what we can do here is I can have a look at the different sections, the categories that are within here, and basically just select the ones that are of interest to who I'm working with. So if I'm working with Sharon, I can come through and go, okay, she does quite like chatting, she loves animals, she loves entertainment, food is a big motivator for her, and she loves people. And then this last little section here on the end looks at the different senses. And this is a really important one because I've certainly had this in the past where as part of any session that I do with somebody new, I always ask what motivates that person, what are they into, what do they like? Because I know that I'm more likely to strike up some communication with that person if I engage in something that motivates them, as opposed to something that I'm interested in. And sometimes it can be quite difficult to know what motivates that person. And I've had a couple of times people say, well, doesn't really have interest, doesn't really have favourite toys, or doesn't really like to watch anything, but does really love going on the swing or running around our classroom space or maybe outside. So I can come onto here and say, okay, so movement's quite a big one. They love movement. So whether it's swinging, whether it's running, and again, maybe if somebody says to me, well, food is a big motivator, so maybe taste is quite a big motivator for them as well. So once I've selected my interest and I click on the next arrow, it's now going to show me suggested topics and communication tools that will fit in with those kind of motivators that we've selected. So this is basically just going to say to me, okay, so we've picked animals. So within our Snap Core First system, we've got a topic about pets, and we've also got a zoo topic. And then also, if we look at some other communication tools, we can go into things like our word lists and look at animals, colours, descriptions. We can go into quick fires and use some of those to talk around that topic. And it's basically going to give me a little example for each of the ones that I've selected. So when I put in the chatting one, it's suggested lots of topics. So I've got about me, arguing. So this is basically just going to give me an idea of where to start. So if I think I've got this brand new system, I don't really know where to start, what I can do is say, okay, well, I know that they really love chatting, so why don't we start exploring this about me topic? And that will really help us to kind of engage in that topic. So a really, really useful tool for kind of just giving you an idea of where to start and what tools to have a look at within your system. So once I've done that, I'm going to come into this show me the lesson plans, and we're looking at using in daily activities here. And this is quite a difficult one because I think often that's where people get a little bit stuck. You know, we're really good at using our system at snack time and maybe during a really structured learning activity, but what about kind of just throughout the day? So what we're going to do here is we've got a couple of examples of different activities that are kind of daily activities. So we've got one that's around play, one that's around cooking, and one that's kind of more educational. So kind of depending on the learner's experiences and maybe age, and we can have a look there. So let's say with Sharon, we want to look at the cooking lesson plan. So what you're going to notice here with all of our lesson plans, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, so hopefully you'll see a little bit more. Each of our lesson plans, regardless of the topic that we are looking at, are going to have a very similar or almost identical kind of layout. There's a couple of advantages to that. The main one being that us as kind of communication partners and those that are maybe going to be engaging and delivering is we're kind of going to know what to expect. We know the format. Once we've done a couple of these kind of lesson plans, we know what to expect. Really, really helps us kind of speed up and get involved in kind of just delivering these activities rather than having to do lots of preparation. The other thing to note is that these lesson plans are really comprehensive. So the idea is that you don't need to be really experienced as a speech and language therapist or a teacher. We've really tried to write them so that anybody can kind of pick them up and go. So you'll always have an objective with your lesson plan. So this one's the learner's going to use the device while cooking or helping cooking. Then we're going to give you a bit of an idea of any preparation that you might need to do. So in this instance, it's going to be have a look at some of the vocab that's already on your device. It's related around this activity, and it gives you a couple of hints, and then we'll look at topic messages, topic words, quick fires, and then things like deciding whether you're going to need to help with navigation or whether your learner maybe is already at that stage where they can navigate quite well. If not, we're going to have to really focus on kind of modelling that navigation for them. It's going to give you a list of the location of the vocabulary we're going to use, so you can kind of give yourself a bit of a heads up. We're going to look at quick fires. Do I know where to find that? We're going to look at the topic cooking. Can I have a quick look? Where do I find that? So on and so forth, so that we know in advance what we're going to be using within our system. You're then going to get this quick lesson guide. And again, this is going to be the same for regardless of what skill that we're going to be looking at. So this is going to be a bit of your roadmap, basically. So for each lesson plan, we're actually going to give you 5 days of lessons. And of course, this could be done Monday to Friday, or it could be done over several weeks, however suits you and your learner, really. But the format's going to be the same kind of thing. So on the first day, we're just going to be introducing the skill. And so it's going to give you an idea of what you want to do. So it's going to tell you what the activity is. It's going to tell you what kind of modelling you want to do. And then it's going to give you any ideas for kind of carry over in between the lessons as well. So in this instance, we're going to film, observe the activity and write down what was said. So I might want to think about or watch a cooking activity and look at vocabulary that people are using, kind of the messages that they're going to be producing, so that I can have that kind of preparation. Day 2 and day 3, we're going to be looking at building on the skill. So this is the kind of practice element. We're going to be teaching, and I'm going to be doing lots of modelling over these couple of days. And again, we've got some specific activities. And then day 4 and day 5 is going to be focusing on using that skill. So there's that nice progression. We're introducing, we're building the skill, and then we're going to use that skill. So we're really doing that kind of repetition with variety. We're kind of building on what we're learning and going through, and so we can start to use this skill more independently. You'll always have a little bit of a kind of a prompt around modelling, so a little bit of a reminder, and then you'll go into the detailed lesson plans. So this is the complete lesson plan for day 1. So again, it's going to tell you what the activities we're going to do, what kind of modelling, and then it will literally lay out each of the activities and tell you exactly what you need to do. So this first activity is going to be observing maybe a cooking activity, writing down comments, questions, and answers. And then we're going to kind of sort those messages and make a chart and kind of organize our vocabulary so that we know what we're going to be using in our next lesson. You'll notice as well, maybe for those that are in a school setting, that we've got some really nice letters that you can send home and to say to family, this is what we've been working on in school, and why don't you try something similar at home? And again, they're nicely kind of laid out for you just to kind of be able to put in a book bag, ready for some of that kind of carryover at home as well. And then it'll just take you through and give you any kind of other resources that you might need for that lesson plan. So as I said, the lesson plans are going to be a very similar format, regardless of the activities or the focus. You're going to have those goals, you're going to have the activities. It'll even have little scripts if that's kind of relevant to that situation as well. So we've really tried to put as much detail in there as possible. Now, there's a couple of different things that we can do with these lesson plans. You'll notice up here on the right hand side, I can do things like just save this directly to my computer. So if I've been kind of having a look through and I want to save them so that I can like quickly access them maybe next time, I can share them via an email, or I can just print them off as well. The other thing that I can do down here, and you'll notice this big blue bar that you'll probably notice throughout pathways as we go through, is this add to my stuff section. So if I found something that is really useful to me and I want to come back and find it, if I click on add to my stuff, and I'm just going to close out this activity, in my pathways profile on the top right hand side, I've got this my stuff section. And this is basically just going to collate all of my kind of favorite bits that I've highlighted. So if I click onto this build skills, there's that lesson plan that I highlighted, and I can just go in and find that more quickly. So the next time I open up my pathways app, as opposed to kind of going through all those different steps, I can go to my stuff, build skills, and then I'll have the list of the ones that I've saved there. And it will save other stuff as well, so cheat sheets and videos and anything that you want to add into there. So we've got those 3 examples there, and then we've got actually an example here for create your own. So if maybe none of those kind of activities will be suitable for your learner, or if maybe you've tried those and you want to create something different based on something that motivates them, it's going to take you through how to kind of create your own lesson with that as well. Something that I want to highlight as well is we've got this section up here, which has got some videos of lessons. So I would really, really recommend coming to have a look at some of these as well. So for example, that film and observe an activity task that we've got to do, there's a really nice video here that's actually going to show us how to do that.
Use this as an example of this activity for any.
And it'll take you through and kind of explain what you've got to do for those activities. So definitely take note of the videos of lessons button there. So that was kind of going through use and daily activities, but if I come down to, let's say, build social interaction, it's going to be the same kind of thing. So here you can see some different topics. I've got those videos of lessons in there. But again, if I go into, let's say, requesting, we're going to get that same format of lesson plan. It's going to give you the objectives, the preparation, where the vocabulary is, your quick lesson guide, and then your more detailed lesson guides as we go through as well. So it's the same kind of format. And again, you can add to my stuff, you can print, you can save, all of the same tools within there as well. So that's some kind of brief description of the build skills section. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through the goals grid, and I'm going to show you how those two then link and are a bit intertwined. So again, there's a nice little introduction to this goals grid.
The goals grid.
Watch that video if you've not seen it before. So this goals grid, as mentioned, is a really good way for figuring out where your AAC learner is now, so what current skills they've got, and then a guide to help you kind of develop those skills. So we've got these 4 kind of competencies that help us kind of determine communication success in an AAC user. So we've got our linguistic skills, which look at those kind of language specific skills. The operational skills are things like navigating a system, looking after a system, kind of using the device. Social skills and strategic skills. And then on the left-hand side here in kind of color-coded sections, we've got anything from kind of an emergent communicator all the way up to that kind of independent communicator skills. So all we need to do is kind of begin to use this is, so let's say Sharon is somebody that I've just started working with, and along with family and maybe school staff, I want to go through and kind of fill in the goals with, so we can get a really clear picture of where she's at. So I'm going to start with linguistic skills, and I'm just going to click on the linguistic section up here. And now you can see it's going to pop up a whole bunch of different goals that we can read, and then we can actually select whether we think that she's met those goals or whether we're working towards them. And if I just scroll quickly, you'll see that we're starting off with those really emergent skills, so things like communicates using pointing, eye gaze, or pulling a partner towards something. And then we'll kind of work through all the way to those kind of independent communication skills. So simply what I'm going to do, either on my own or with a team, is we're going to go through, we're going to read these and say, okay, yeah, we think she's met that. And I'm going to go through and say, okay, yeah, we've got evidence, or we know that she's doing this. And then once we get to something, so let's say this one that says requests, names, or comments, a familiar action of a choice of two, and I say, no, we don't think that she's doing that consistently, so I can start clicking on working on it. And again, there might be some that she's got, but some that she's not quite there at. And as you can see, as I'm filling this in, up here at the top, it's actually going to tell me how many targets she's achieved out of the total. So in this linguistic section, there's 35 goals, and at the moment we've got 11 ticked, and it gives me a little percentage, so it helps me to kind of figure out where she's at. The other thing is that next to a goal that I think that she's still working on, if I click on this blue and white button here, it's actually going to link me directly into lesson plans that are going to work on that skill specifically. So if we've identified something that she needs to work on, we can then link straight into these lesson plans and say, okay, that's a skill she needs to work on. Here are the lesson plans that we're going to focus on this week or this term. So we can directly go, okay, that's what she needs to work on. So we're going to look at requesting, commenting, and expanding vocabulary through object names through this one. So it gives you a really good kind of guide as to where they're at, but also tells you how to kind of support that and move forward. So I would then go through each of these competencies and do the same thing. I would have a look and start, selecting, going through the goals. And again, I could do this at home, I could do this with school, I could do this, as part of a team, however works best for them. And again, we've got this little tally that's going to be, give me an idea of what she's working towards. And then once I've done this, I'm just going to quickly fill in a couple more. Yeah, to give us a bit of an idea. I'll go back to my main. I can now see a little bit of a pattern emerging. So I can see that just at a glance from what we've just done now, that Sharon is actually developing some pretty good linguistic and operational skills. She's at about 30% for each of those, but those social skills and strategic skills don't quite match with that yet. So what this gives me an idea of is what her strengths are and where maybe we need to work a little bit more on. So it gives you a really good focus of where to focus your attention, which can be a really difficult thing to do. Where do I start? What do I work on? The other thing that I find really useful with looking at it in this way in terms of the different competencies is that sometimes we'll get to a point where we hit a plateau. So we could be working on those linguistic skills and they've made loads of progress, and then suddenly they stop making progress and they just really kind of hit a bit of a wall. And so sometimes it's really nice to kind of take a step back and say, okay, well, maybe in terms of linguistic skills, maybe we need to kind of allow those skills to generalize a little bit, and maybe let's shift our focus to something else. So if Sharon's got to this point where she's, getting towards, where do we say? So she's kind of developing emergent transitional, getting into context dependent, but in social skills, she's still really emergent. Maybe I want to shift my focus to some of her social skills now. So it gives me a really, really good idea of kind of where to go and what to focus on as well. So again, we can save a copy of this goals grid onto our computer if we want to. We can email it out to people. We can print it and put it in a file. So lots of really great ways to share this. Something that can sometimes be really useful is getting different people to fill out the goals grid. So what we often see is a bit of a discrepancy of communication skills from one setting to another. So I used to get a lot of, well, he can do this at home, and then school is saying, but he's not doing that at school, or vice versa. So sometimes that can be quite a nice thing to kind of get different settings to do it, so that we can bring that together and say, okay, well, maybe our focus needs to be slightly different according to which setting we're in. So that could be a really useful thing to look at as well. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to look at here. The last thing that I'm just going to show you really briefly is I talked at the beginning about how we've also got pathways available in an online format. So this is, we've kind of provided this access because some settings have had difficulties with accessing apps, you know, whether it's in a school or a NHS environment. So what we wanted to do is to make sure that everybody could have access to it, regardless of whether they were able to do that. So there's going to be a link in the description about how to access this pathways online. But I'll give you a bit of information about it here, and then you'll notice that we've actually got it available in a few different languages. I'm just going to select English here. The way that the pathways online is laid out is slightly different, well, quite different to the app. So this is a much more kind of linear approach where you start at one point and you work through, whereas in the app you can kind of dip in and out of different sections and work kind of however works best for you. This is going to give you a much more linear approach to it. So once you kind of get started, there's a bit of an introduction, but if I go up here at the menu, here you'll see all the different sections that we've got. So there's a bit of an introduction, and then you've got a section on setting up the device. We've then got a section on trying the device, learning partner skills, and then teaching the user. And so this kind of teaching the user is going to be the most similar section to that build skills section within the app. So you're going to have a look at those lesson plans, and it's going to talk about kind of, you know, which skills to focus on next, and that idea. And then you've got a section on making changes, so looking at customization, and then you'll have some access to videos on there as well. So if maybe you're not able to access the app for whatever reason, or if maybe you want to support a parent that just needs a much more kind of linear, more focused approach, somewhere to start, somewhere to end, this Pathways for Online is a really good tool to do that. So hopefully you found that really useful today. We've had a look at building skills, so looking at all of the skills around developing communication skills for an AEC learner, and we looked at tracking progress through using the goals grid. As I said earlier, I'll put some links in the description that will take you to the pathways, both online and via the app, so that you can check that out for yourself. Lastly, if you would like any more information, maybe you want to have a more kind of personalized training session for your team, then please do get in touch with your local account manager. You can do it via the link that's in the chat or using this QR code. And your local account manager will be able to help with further training, software, hardware demos, assessments, trials, loans, anything that might be beneficial to you. So please do use that link.